Sir, I have a question from dual Damascene process.
I'm sorry.
A dual Damascene process.
Okay.
Sir, on that slide,
Hmm.
actually, it was shown that we were also depositing chromium there.
That was chromium. So that is kind of a mask.
Okay.
Chromium is used to is a kind of a photoresist. So it's not exactly chromium. It's a chromium compound. It's a compound of chromium which is used as a photoresist.
Okay. So we can see it as a photoresist only.
Yeah, yeah. So it has nothing else there because you will need to draw the barrier. You will need to deposit the barrier that was shown in the subsequent slide when we talked about the barrier and the barrier thickness. But those are typically titanium nitride and such materials. So yeah, chromium-based compounds are usually photoresists.
Sir, one more question, sir. When
Hmm.
we do CMP, chemical mechanical
Hmm.
polishing, so sir, when I make a layer, for example, I made the layer above the diffusion layer, the M1, then M2. So after each metal layer, do I have to do the CMP process?
Yeah, yeah. After not just every metal layer, every step, even if you grow an oxide, you have to do a CMP. See, what happens is that whatever you deposit or grow, it may grow in random depths. कहीं पे मोटा, कहीं पे छोटा, पतला, उस तरह से, है ना? It can be like that. But your instrumentation is so finely tuned, you need nanometer level accuracy when the light falls somewhere. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
So imagine if the surface is one so if it is 1 micron higher in one place and 1 micron lower at a different place, then the light will travel different distances at different places, which can mean that there could be uh, error when you want nanometer level accuracy. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir.
So you
So,
have
sir,
to do CMP after every stage. Just give me a
okay.
moment. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was asking that if we do CMP after each process step, so sir, in that case, sir, we will remove the wafer from the machine and then put it into CMP machine and then again put and would it go like this?
So CMP can be done in the same machine also. Why do you need to remove it? It depends, like depends from machine to machine. At times it would be done in the same machine. And anyways, if you have to do oxidation in one machine and deposition in another machine, so you have to remove the wafer from one machine, take it to the other one. That is why every mask. That is why the more the number of masks, more the manufacturing time. Every mask will need to possibly be handled in a different machine. है ना? So
Yes, sir.
either you remove the wafer or you remove the mask. So something has to be removed and taken somewhere else.
Right, sir.
Sir, sir,
Typically mask same रहता है. Yes.
sir, one thing, sir, it was written that this dual Damascene process reduces errors due to misalignment. Sir, I couldn't understand this thing, sir.
दोबारा से बोलो.
Sir, dual Damascene process reduces
Hmm.
error due to misalignment.
Yes. So we discussed that now. That if we have, let us say, uh, if I have to uh, overlay, you know,
Yes.
if we have to overlay, what do we say? Uh, two different mask. हमने जो we saw the example of contact and metal where we saw that we had made the contacts with one mask and then we deposited the metal with another mask. So
Yes.
what happened? The contacts and masks were misaligned. We saw that
Yes.
that we
Yes, sir.
saw those photos there. है ना?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is
Earlier, yes.
misalignment. That is misalignment. So when you have two different masks based on which you will make vias and then wires, there is always some error which will creep in due to misalignment. There will be some yield loss because of misalignment there. In dual Damascene process, you have the same, you deposit copper in one go for the via and the wire. So The wire and the via will always be connected. There will not be there will not be misalignment between the wire and the via.
Okay, okay,
So
sir.
sorry to interrupt you in between. I have the same doubt. Like uh, earlier we were using tungsten for via and
Mhm.
aluminum for, and
Wires.
now we are using copper for both the things, like for via and
Yes.
connection. That is why we are able to save a process.
That is why we are able to go to the dual damascene process, because aluminium is not as ductile. So aluminium वो via वाले जो छोटे छोटे holes थे उसमें move नहीं कर पाता था.
Acha. Okay.
So we use tungsten plugs and then we use aluminium wires.
And now we are using copper for both the things.
Yes, because copper is
That is why
ductile.
we are
Copper
saving the
can
process.
enter into those small crevices also.
Okay, okay. That was my only doubt. Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
can you just explain the dual Damascene process?
Okay, so let me share my whiteboard. Give me a minute. Are you able to see my whiteboard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what you do is you make, so this is, let us say this is your uh, metal 1. Let us say that metal 1 has been deposited somewhere. Okay, so over here you will grow oxide. So this is oxide. Now what you do is you grow this oxide to a sufficient thickness such that this would also represent metal 2. So this thickness is such that intermetal oxide plus metal 2. That is the thickness of this oxide, total oxide thickness. Now what you do is you identify areas where you would etch the oxide. So in the first go, you etch it like this. Okay. So this is the part where metal 2 will be deposited. But you also want to deposit via 1. Hmm? So what you do is you deposit a photoresist again. And now you say, okay, in this part, I will want to make the next level of etching. So you would etch this like this. Okay. Now, when you will fill copper, let us say this yellow is copper. You will, let us say you deposited copper now. So copper will go everywhere. And then at the CMP stage, what will you do? You will remove copper above this point. So all this point will go away. Sorry. So beyond, above this, there will be no copper. So this is metal 1. And now metal 1 and metal 2 got connected through this via, which is all copper. If it was not a dual Damascene process, what would you need to do? Let us look at that. Possibly that will give you more clarity of how is dual Damascene process different. If it was not a dual Damascene process, then let us say this is metal 1. You will grow oxide up till this height. You will expose the mask of the via and you will make the via. Okay. You will deposit, let us say, tungsten over here. And then you will grow more oxide. So you will remove this photoresist. Now you will grow more oxide. And now in this oxide, you will say that, okay, I need to deposit I will deposit photoresist so that I can make the space for metal 2. So there will be this, that will be made. Okay. And then in the next step, you will deposit aluminium. Then you will do CMP, you will remove the aluminum above it. So this was also aluminum, that was aluminum, and this is tungsten in between. So you see, you actually took many more steps when you were in a single tier process. Why? Because you had to grow oxide only of this thickness. You you made the via there, then you grew oxide again, then you made the metal there, and then you did the CMP. So CMP also you did multiple times. So many things you did multiple times. Whereas in a dual damascene process, you need not do CMP also twice. CMP is also happening only once, and so on. Are you able to see the difference between the two things? Is it
Yes.
clearer now?
So now we are basically making the second layer of metal, second metal layer and the wire together in
Yes,
one step.
that is why it is called dual damascene, two-layered process.
Okay, sir.
Dual means two, damascene means two layers you are growing together.
Sir, one more doubt. Sir, after the Czochralski process, like the flats or the notches are made to specify the direction in which the current is supposed to flow.
The notch will tell what is the orientation of the crystal. Yes. The direction where you want the current to make to flow, that is a different decision. You know this is the notch. So this is 111 direction. Now you want it in 100 or 110. You can orient your wafer in your machines accordingly.
Okay, so it says about the orientation of the wafer, that
Yeah,
is.
it just tells you are here wala cheez. You remember we talked about in a map, you most important thing you need to know is where are you, so that
Yes.
then you can navigate. है ना? So it tells you the you are here thing. This notch is 110, okay, or 111, whatever you decide, whatever is described. Then the fabrication time you can orient it the way you want.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Yeah, Devjit.
Sir, I have same question regarding the rotated substrate. Sir, in one of the slide we saw that there is no impact of mobility of electrons when you rotate the substrate in at any direction. So, sir, I was not actually able to understand that.
So this is the electric potential and momentum curves that we saw that day. Okay. So EK curves कहते हैं इनको. When you will do the course on solid state devices, you will get to see them in more detail. When you do the course on introduction to nanoelectronics, you will get to see these curves in much more detail. So these EK curves tell the weight of the heavy holes or light holes, means थोड़ा सा weight का वो dimension देते हैं. The higher the slope of this curve, the more the slope of these curves, the faster your device or your carrier would move. So electrons have parabolic curves. Okay, single parabola, and therefore all the electrons are single weight only.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but holes have multiple kinds of EK curves. Okay, some are simple parabola, some are complex parabolas. Simple parabola comes out to be a light hole, and in other directions, when you move, the complex parabola comes into picture, so it becomes a heavy hole. When you rotate the substrate, you come to that simple parabola again, and therefore those holes which were otherwise heavy holes also become light holes. So you realize there are these sp, all these orbitals inside the, so that is how we have understood atomic structure, na? That there are these orbitals, each orbital can have at most 2 electrons and so on. So some orbitals have follow that small parabolic curve or sharp parabolic curve, and others follow that relaxed parabolic curve. So those, when you change the orientation, you basically are able to access orbitals which have sharp slopes, and therefore holes become light holes. Electrons, because the structure was the EK curves were exactly the same. Whichever direction you were looking at, electrons don't get impacted.
Okay. So, sir,
this is all quantum physics. So आपको थोड़ा सा वो detail में जाना पड़ेगा. This is not a course on that.
Okay, so that slide was basically like that dual dumbbell thing, electron cloud density, and telling that
Yes.
the electron mass is concentrated at the same point, uh, despite of rotating the mm, substrate at any direction.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. You're right.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. Yes, Justin.
Hello, sir. Sir, if we take the Sokrasky process and consider the seed to be 100 oriented,
Mm-hmm.
then when the ingot is formed, so will the ingot be like the 100 plane, periodic arrangement of that 100 plane only?
Yes.
So then when we talk about that rotating of the substrate, then how are we getting the other planes, sir? If it
No,
consists
you're
of
not
only
getting
one.
other planes, you're getting other directions. Look at it. I will show you. We discussed that in the class also. Let me show it to you also again. Just give me a moment. So let us look at a cube. Hmm. Right. This is a school job. Let me draw it again. It's a this is the cuboid structure. Okay. Now, as soon as I say that I have a, let us say we start with face-centered cubic structure. So face-centered cubic structure means on each face there is a extra atom. Am I right?
Yes.
Have I put it on all the faces? No, not all the faces. So each face has an extra atom. So all the faces over here are symmetrical. How would each face look like? Each face would look like something like this.
Yes.
Now, we have ensured that the right face is fabricated. So the surface of the silicon is the right face. But current flow would happen in a direction. So you could choose this direction for current flow, or you could choose this direction for current flow. Over here, what will happen? There is one atom here, one atom here, one atom here. In a distance of root 2, let us say A, if A is this side, you have 3 atoms. 3 atoms भी नहीं कहते, 2 atoms. Let us say 2 atoms. And a half atom here,
Yes,
one
sir.
atom, and then half atom here.
Yes.
Let us go into this direction. What is happening? In a distance of A, you have one atom.
Yes.
So what is happening? Over here, in this particular direction, per A, you have root 2 atoms. In this direction, per A, you have only one atom. Do you think the electrical properties will be different?
Yes, sir, it must be different.
Therefore, those curves that we were talking about, they start to differ.
So, sir, here, I mean, if this is the ingot which we designed, so in this, which will be the 100 and 110 direction, sir? How are we deciding that?
That is the standard definition that you use for crystal nomenclature. We don't
Okay,
decide it
okay.
in VLSI. That is decided by crystal nomenclature directly.
Okay.
है ना?
Yes.
ठीक है?
Yes, sir, understood. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So you can raise your hands. Yeah, Gagandeep.
Sir, before the dual damascene process, we were saying that we were making the contact and via out of tungsten.
No. Yeah, contacts before the dual damascene process, contacts and vias both were tungsten. Yes.
So, sir, why were via tungsten? Sir, that contact
Because
is fine.
vias were known to be like vias and contacts are like holes. You know, you have to make holes in your. Let me show. To make your holes in your oxide, जैसा भी हमने holes बनाए थे, है ना?
Yes, sir.
So you need a material which is ductile enough to enter into those holes. So over here, I have shown that the height of metal is same as the height of via, but this is a like this is not really the case. In reality, the metal would be this high, the via would be this high. Okay.
Okay.
So you would make this hole and you would want the metal to come and fill this up. Tungsten was already being used in the fab. So they said, okay, let us fill this also with tungsten.
Okay, so that is comparison between the aluminum and tungsten. So tungsten was more ductile, so we put that inside
Yeah, exactly. Then you would deposit aluminium here.
Okay.
With copper, copper could actually go all the way deep down here. So copper के साथ issue ही नहीं था.
Yes.
Okay.
सर जो हम टाइटेनियम नाइट्राइड की जो वो लेयर लगाते हैं तो सर इसको मतलब एग्जैक्टली हम लोग किस तरह से मतलब लगा पाते होंगे कितना
So it's a very fine process. It's like layer, atom by atom deposition. Actually, it is ALD. It is called atomic layer deposition.
तो सर वैसे भी सर इतना फाइन मतलब होता है तो फिर जैसे कि हम लोग कॉपर तो चलो वो तो फ्लो होके बह गया क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली बात है एकदम तो अलाइन होंगे नहीं कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ मतलब इधर उधर तो हो गई तो फिर एग्जैक्टली एटॉमिक लेयर डिपोजिशन किस तरह से हो पाता होगा वो मतलब इमेजिन नहीं
So it's a slow process. It's a very slow process. That is where every mask. Why do we say every mask step takes time? So because every wafer has to go through that process. Each die on the wafer, every place in this wafer has to deposit exactly. So the dosage of atoms that are coming or the titanium nitride molecules that are being bombarded on the die is less enough so that it will just be a one layer that is deposited. So it's a slow process, yes.
Okay.
But you have to be precise. If you end up depositing two titanium nitride molecules, you will end up increasing the resistance multifold.
Yes, sir.
Because then there is less space for copper to be deposited, है ना?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you do understand that the VLSI manufacturing process is very complex. That was the purpose of this lecture yesterday. That ऐसे ही नहीं हो जाता. It requires lots of effort to manufacture every single die. Yeah. Deepansh, you have a question?
Sorry, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Hello, sir. I'm audible.
Yes, Moini, you're audible.
Sir, can you briefly explain this dual patterning in photolithography?
Dual patterning photolithography. Okay. So we discussed a little about that in the class yesterday also, but we can review it again, no issues. So again, this is not a lecture on photolithography, so we will not do it like that. But are you able to see my screen? No. Oh, you are able to see my screen. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So let us say I want to draw this set of polylines, okay, which are, let us say, just 10 nanometers apart, and each is actually 10 nanometer only. We're talking about a very advanced technology. Now the wavelength of light that you're using is 193 nanometer. You're using immersion, so numerical aperture has improved. So what happens is that when you make such slits in the mask, there is lots of diffraction that would happen. There would be interference that would happen. There will be a destructive interference and there will be constructive interference. So when you have such three slits, let us say, designed over there, then due to destructive interference, this central poly will not be manufactured. Okay. So what do? You say, okay, so in one mask, I can no longer draw such 3 polylines. So what we do is we say that, okay, let us draw this polyline in a different mask. And to be able to manufacture it properly, let me have dummies here. And to manufacture this one and this one properly, I will need to put dummies here. Now what would happen? Light from this will result in constructive or positive interference and diffraction patterns, whatever, over here. And this poly will be properly formed. Light from this and this will ensure that this poly is properly formed. Light from this one and this one will ensure that this poly is properly formed. But what did you require to do? You required to manufacture these polys in 2 different steps. And what about these dummy polys? Now, since they did not have another, let us say, slit on this side, the amount of light that falls in this region is not sufficient to prevent the etching. So these polys will actually be etched away. They will, or even if they're not fully etched away, they will not really be correctly formed. And you were never worried about them. They were only dummy polys. Okay. So dual patterning means that you will need 2 masks to make structures at the spacing and the width as you needed them, because otherwise, if you try to make them in one mask, they will have destructive interference and those structures cannot be formed properly. Does this help?
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Shakti?
Yes, sir. So my doubt is related to design implementation phase. So after the design entry and before the logic synthesis, sir, there is a simulation and power analysis stage. So I think for both of them, for simulation or for power analysis, some input vectors are required.
Yes.
So I understand that somehow I meet the coverage requirement when we are doing the simulation part. But if we apply some random input vectors while doing the power analysis, then the power that we will be getting for different scenarios might differ. So how are we
power will be very different. Yeah. So what is done, Shakti, over here is, it is not that you will apply random vectors. See, this stage is still we are talking about high level synthesis.
Yes.
We're talking about a C program or something like that.
Yes.
We just converted it into some RTL, top level RTL, something. So you will actually say that, okay, if I have to run this particular, image rendering algorithm or image rendering program, or I have to do something about this video game or anything like that. So आपको पता है कि क्या program run होना है आपका? What you know which are the common programs that you will be running, which are the common modes in which your chip will be running. So you will just run those programs.
Okay.
It is not random vector. And over here, you are not really even talking about exact power consumption. You're just looking at how many cycles different blocks are getting activated. You have a top level model of, okay, this block would consume this kind of power, this block would consume this kind of power, and you will get a top level view of, do you need to put some other blocks in standby? Do you need to make different voltage islands? Do you need to reorganize your stuff differently so that, okay, these 2 programs or these 2 blocks are always used simultaneously when I run almost all my programs. So they should always be in the same voltage island. The other 3rd and 4th are used only when program X and Z are run. So they can be in independent voltage islands where X and Z will activate those voltage islands. So that kind of work is happening in this stage.
Okay, so basically those inputs may be dependent or is dependent on our design and how we utilize it.
Yes. So they have a strong influence on how we are defining voltage islands, or how we are disabling different parts of the circuit during different stimuli or different programs, different loads conditions.
Sir, is here something we are talking about power in worst case? Means, can we talk about the worst case power here? Or
You can. So for that, you will have to say that, okay, if all these programs run in parallel, then the power consumption can be this much. In which case, you can actually make out the worst case mein how much heat will be generated, and what kind of packaging you would need, and do you need to then implement schemes like dynamic voltage frequency scaling or something, so that your power consumption is reduced, frequency of operation is reduced. So you have to then put some things in your software programs itself, that okay, if all these 10 programs are to run in parallel, then none of them, then my clock will actually be only at 20% or 50% of its maximum frequency, because I cannot afford that kind of power.
yes, sir. Yes.
Because there is a limit of thermal, there is a thermal limit of your chip.
Yes, sir, yes.
So all those simulations are anyways done, Shakti.
Okay.
They have to be
Okay,
done, otherwise your chip will fail, it will burn out.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Madhur?
Yes, sir. So we studied that we were making several layers of metal contacts. So are we making this so that different metal contacts or wires cannot overlap with each other, or are we making different CMOS transistors in different levels?
No. When you say metal contacts, so there is only one. So in fabrication terminology, contact is only between source substrate and metal one. So there is only one contact layer.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Contact, and then we deposit metal over that. So there were
Yes.
multiple.
In contacts, you will fill tungsten, and for metal, you will use either copper or aluminum, depending on which process you're talking about.
Okay, sir. And there was a ladder-like structure of metals. So were these the wires that connect different CMOS logic together?
Yeah, there were different layers of metals. So in
Yes.
between those metals, you had vias. Okay.
Sir.
So contact is between silicon level and metal one. Vias are between any two other layers of metals.
Okay, sir. So why do we need so many layers of metals to connect the transistors, or we are making
So
transistors?
it's something like this. Where do you stay, Madhur? Which city?
Lucknow, sir.
Lucknow. So in Lucknow, which is the busiest junction?
Hazratganj.
Hazratganj. So let us say that Hazratganj ke andar there is some amount of traffic that is flowing, and therefore there are always traffic jams. So what is the solution?
We make multiple junctions.
You make flyovers, you make underpasses, so that traffic can go at different levels and there are less jams. So what have you done? You have essentially increased the bandwidth of your roads. Now more cars can flow in the same area, but you have used other dimensions. That is the only reason, because our chips require lots of signals to travel from one place to another. If we were to make them travel only in one plane, then the area would increase, because you cannot, यहाँ पे तो आप red light लगा सकते हो, but wires are wires. You cannot say there is a red light here on the wire. So because you need many signals to be transported, you go, a flyover and underpass route, and therefore you have multiple metal layers there, because the bandwidth requirements are high. As you integrate more and more more and more functionality on the chip, the bandwidth requirement is only increasing more and more. So while in 180 nanometer technology, you had only 4 or 5 layers. In 16 nanometer technology, you would have 10 to 12 layers of metals.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Devjit?
Yes, sir. Sir, in last class, we saw a slide in variability where we saw that if we by chance put one more extra layer of oxide, then it would differ a change in like 8% change in performance and leakage would increase. So, sir, if we know that at lower technologies so much variability is coming, then why not means we are decreasing the voltage of operation? And one more question is that how the technology change means with technology change how the operating voltage has been throughout the years.
Yeah, so we will have a session on scaling later also, but yeah. So Dennard scaling said that as you scale the technology, you lower the voltage of operation also. Okay,
Yes,
but as soon as you lower the voltage of operation, but you know, when Dennard said all that, there were nothing like short channel effects yet. We were far away. We were talking about 10 micron of gate length when Dennard gave his postulates. But scaling happened. We reached in the nanometer range. We talked of 90 nanometer gates, like 180 nanometer gates, and so on. So short channel effects started to appear. Due to short channel effects, we realized that at high voltage, there will be lots of current flowing. Subthreshold current leakage you cannot control. So you said, okay, and then you have to do some stuff. You cannot really scale voltages in the same way. Okay. VT you cannot really you cannot scale VT to that low level that Dennard wanted. Otherwise leakage would go very high. So you said, okay, if VT cannot scale that low, I at least want performance gain. So VDD also cannot scale to that low level.
So VDD stagnated.
So VDD scaling kind of stopped. So in 65, in 45, in 32, you will see VDD is all hovering around 1.0 to like 1.2 volts, 1.3 volts.
Okay. Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir.
So
one more. Yes, sir.
Variability wala question abhi aapka reh gaya. So variability is increasing as you go to an advanced technology node. This is something that you were able to understand from the session. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So if the variability is increasing, let us say VT was intended to be 400 millivolts, but instead of 400 millivolts, it can be 500 millivolts also.
Okay.
So what would you do? So that even the device which has a VT of 500 millivolts, that also works fine. Again, you would increase the voltage of operation.
Okay.
So that is another reason why voltage is not being scaled, because variations are very high. If we get a way to manage these variations, for example, we went to high K metal gate dielectrics, where due to high K, now the physical thickness of the dielectric is larger than the silicon dioxide case. Now, because of that, you could manage some kind of variations better. So as soon as high K metal gate dielectrics came, the VDD of operation reduced from, let us say, 1.1 volts to 0.9 volts.
Okay.
Because you had more control.
Okay. Sir, one more thing I wanted to ask. Sir, yesterday in substrate coupling extraction, how to means how to avoid that. So you told that gartering can be used, and someone in the class also told that gartering could be used to avoid latch up. So I looked up in the internet and found I was not able to understand. There were BJTs and things were drawn. Is it something we will cover in the in this course, or I should know from?
So actually, latch up is usually taught in the previous courses. But since the previous course for the BTech students was not fully covered, we will touch upon latch up a bit over here. We will not go into too much detail, but we will just touch upon it.
Okay.
Later in the course, we will do that. So substrate connections. So latch up is something where if your substrate is resistive, then you enter into a zone where you have a structure of BJT forms. BJT is manufactured, and there is a huge amount of current that flows. So your kind of chip burns out.
Okay.
So to avoid that, you have to reduce the voltages that you get between the base and the emitter junction. VBE you have to reduce. So for that, you have to reduce the resistance between the substrate connection and the base of your
Okay.
parasitic device. And therefore, if you give substrate connections very frequently, that resistance will be less and you will avoid latch up. Now, guard ring is about substrate connections only. So if you give a guard ring, it means you're creating a substrate connection right away. So the latch up will not happen, at least in this place.
Because it will get a less resistive path.
Yes, because the substrate resistance has been reduced. The path to ground has been reduced. The resistance of path to ground has been reduced. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Deepank?
sir.
Yeah. Deepank? You can lower your hand. Yeah.
Hi, yes, sir. Sir, my doubt is one in the earlier technologies when we
Sorry,
use
दोबारा
by using
दीपांक तुम्हारी आवाज थोड़ी सी unclear आ रही है. Can you just spread out your words a bit? हाँ, please.
Hello. Yes. So in the earlier technologies, when we were using tungsten for the VRs, did we require a barrier then?
Did you require a
Barrier like we require in the
No.
copper?
Barrier is only because of copper, and it is not barrier is not just required in VRs. Barrier is required even in wires.
Okay.
So barrier is required because there is copper which can diffuse into the oxide, dielectric,
Correct.
Silicon dioxide there. Okay. So barrier is characteristic of copper. It is not about VR or wire. It is about copper. Because there is copper, you need barrier.
So even if it's an oxide, it's still risky, right? So, okay.
I'm
Got it.
sorry.
So I wasn't okay, sir. I got it. I thought that since it's an oxide, it would be not be much reactive, but now I got it.
No,
that
no, no.
yes,
Copper, it is not reacting. It diffuses into this. वो अंदर, it establishes itself in the interstitial spaces of the oxide, of the silicon dioxide.
Got it.
See, there are always spaces between silicon atoms and oxygen atoms, na?
Right.
So
Right.
copper just settles into those layers, starts to diffuse into oxide layer there.
Correct.
Therefore, you need a barrier.
Correct.
Okay.
And sir, next question is how much of the like if we are if we have wafer and we have many transistors, and how much of the percentage do we allow for the bad transistors to be there in a wafer, or we won't be getting 100% ideal always. So how much is the percentage which we actually allow in practical?
Bad का मतलब क्या होता है? First define the term bad.
So bad means which has, because since you said that because of the variations, not every transistor is identical, and not every transistor would be working as we have wanted it to be working. If we use it. So I was talking in that sense that when is a wafer actually classified that it is good to go?
A wafer is classified as good to go until it is fully functional in the fresh lot, and even when when you make kind of its sample and do some accelerated life tests on it, heat it up, and then you estimate that okay, after 10 years how many of these will fail. So if it passes both the tests, the wafer, all the dyes on the wafer are sent out. All the dyes which are functional, fully functional, they are sent out.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So there is nothing that we are looking at every transistor. You cannot do that. That's not affordable.
Yes, sir.
If everything is functional, you just pass it on.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Rajneesh?
Yeah, sir. After when we do the ion implantation, after that we deposit the oxide. Sir,
Yes.
so sir, this oxide deposition and this active layer formation is same thing?
ऑक्साइड डिपोजिशन दोबारा से बोलो, क्या पूछा तुमने?
सर जैसे हम जब ट्रांजिस्टर फैब्रिकेट कर रहे थे तो हमने जब हम लोगों ने पॉलीसिलिकॉन को इच कर लिया, उसके बाद सर हम आयन इम्प्लांट
हमने सोर्स और ड्रेन रीजन्स बनाए. हाँ,
यस सर. हाँ, उसके बाद सर हम लोग उसमें ऑक्साइड करते हैं.
फिर से ऑक्साइड डाल दिया. यस.
तो सर ये ऑक्साइड डिपोजिशन और एक्टिव लेयर फॉर्मेशन मतलब सेम चीज होती है?
नहीं, एक्टिव लेयर इज द सोर्स एंड ड्रेन रीजन.
ओके सर, मतलब वो जो सोर्स और ड्रेन हम लोग इम्प्लांटेशन करके बना रहे हैं उसको एक्टिव लेयर
हाँ, उसको एक्टिव रीजन कह रहे हैं.
ओके,
ऑक्साइड तो ऑक्साइड है.
मतलब सोर्स और ड्रेन ही है बस एक्टिव और
या
ओके सर,
active region will form source and drain region there.
ओके सर,
Source, drain and diodes, whatever. Active is that.
ओके
Okay, implantation के बाद जो silicon पे बना, that is active.
थैंक यू।
Okay. Gaurav?
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, Gaurav.
Yes, sir. The 110 and 100 is they are representing the points or coordinates or family of planes.
They are representing directions.
Means points on coordinate XYZ
Directions.
from origin to that point.
Yes.
Okay, sir. And
So
by
in
default,
crystal terminology, you have three kinds of numbers. One is the location of your cell, atom,
yes, sir.
vertex. The other is the plane. There's a nomenclature for plane, and third is a nomenclature for directions. So when we talk about rotated substrate and we talk about 110 or 111, that is the direction that we were talking about.
Okay, sir. Means by default, when we create ignot, then we will get from origin to 110 direction in the current flow.
So we get a plane. So wait, when we make the ingot, we put the seed crystal in such a way that we get a deterministic plane. Then we look at the structure and make a notch such that anyone can identify where is the 110 direction.
Means we create from notch we will get a 110 direction.
Yes. So that now you can do whatever you want to do. If you want 110 direction, you orient your transistors in one particular way. If you want to make your transistors in 100, you will orient your transistors at 45-degree angle to this notch, and so on.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Priyanka? Priyanka, you had a question?
Am I audible?
Yes, Priyanka, you're audible.
Yeah, sir, I want to ask, like, if we create two metal layers, so do we add tungsten in between?
If you're talking about old technologies with aluminum process, yes, you would need tungsten to make vias, connection between those two metal layers. If you're talking about copper, then you will have vias again of copper to be able to connect those two metal layers. But if it is like a flyover and you did not want a connection between the two, then you will not make a via between them. Via is a connection between higher metal layer and lower metal layer.
Okay. And sir, like these metal layers are used for flowing of current now. Basically,
They are wires. And they are wires.
Acha. Okay, sir. And one more thing, like we use two types of one second, sir. We use two types of mask, positive mask and negative mask. So, sir, why negative mask is used?
So it depends. At times the process that you are taking up, there you want, making a negative mask could be cheaper.
So, but negative mask, so when it exposed to UV rays, it gets hardened. So, like, we don't want that.
No. So that's the thing now. So what is the difference between a negative mask and a positive mask? Let us look at it. I'm not allowed to share my screen now. Very strange. So let us say that you wanted to draw an active or you wanted to draw a N-well.
Okay, sir.
So N-well shapes, you say that I want to make a mask where I would want to implant that N-well ke liye additional phosphorus, let us say, or arsenic, whatever is the material you're using. So it may be such that if you use a positive mask, you will bear or you will incur one kind of cost, and if you use a negative mask, you will incur another kind of cost, because your material which is coming and interacting with the mask, it can erode the mask itself. so you need to change the material or something like that. So there could be many reasons, but both, it doesn't matter whether it is a negative mask or a positive mask. एक में आपको जहाँ पे चीज पड़ी वहां पे इम्प्लांट करना है, दूसरे में जहाँ पे नहीं पड़ी वहां पे इम्प्लांट करना है या वहां पे एच करना है. That's okay.
Okay, so that means like for different reasons we use different type of masks.
Yeah. So there is whatever is more convenient and cheap, you would want to use that.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Akanksha.
Sir, I had a doubt that yesterday you explained that the mobility, the light holes and the heavy holes. So, so in light holes, you said the electrostatic radiation thing is sharp. So
The EK curve, the slope of the EK curve is sharp. Yes.
okay. Yes, sir, that you showed. And then you also said that the device size will reduce due to the increased mobility of the holes. So, that
so-
I didn't get how
Okay.
the device
So
size.
you remember the equation of the current equation of a NMOS or a PMOS?
Yes, sir.
So what is that term that comes in front of whatever VGS minus VT the whole square?
Yes, sir.
What is the term that comes there?
Mu n C naught x W by L and
Yeah. So what is mu n?
okay, mu n is the mobility.
So if the mobility has increased, what will happen?
Current will increase.
So if the current has increased, you can make smaller devices.
Yes, sir. But if we have current has increased, okay, then the resistance will be okay. Now I understand. Yes, sir. I understood.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Anything else?
Thank you,
We
sir.
still have 5 minutes. So all of you ready for the quiz? Another 10-15 minutes to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All the best. See you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Bye,
Thank
bye,
you.
sir.
Yeah. Bye.